This is the wrong disco. Dead as Disco is a game whose demo was a breath of fresh air. From years of pining for the Legends of Rock era, there was finally a game that captured the essence of what made those games memorable. For weeks I put in shifts of this game like I was doing my dailies in an MMO, and I loved every moment of it. I was very excited about what the future held for this game, and after the AAA Initiative update, I didn't have to wait that much longer to see more of it. Less than a month after that update, Dead as Disco released into early access, boasting 3 entirely new levels, a finished Hemlock level, an expansion to the Infinite Disco, and many, many more features. And of course, I was there right when the game released, discovering as much as I possibly could to reevaluate how BrainJar Games were handling the release of this game. So, as a consumer advisor, would I recommend you buy it? Let's get into it. But first, a brief recap. The III update that was released on April 9th revised some of the existing content in the game. While no new content was added, there were changes to what already existed. There was a graphics overhaul that focused on reflections, as well as some music changes, and some gameplay adjustments to bring it up to the current version of the game. On their own, these are minor, innocuous changes, but together, confused myself and others. I haven't heard anyone mention the graphics changes, but I've heard more people than I expected talk about the music adjustments. Several, if not all, of the songs were re-recorded and have either different lyrics or a different energy to them. I noticed it particularly with the song Mission, where the version I heard felt like a cool, suave rap.
Hey, I'm on a brand new mission. Me and my boys way up right now, and it's time we made a difference.
The new version feels like hype music.
Yeah, feel I'm on a brand new mission. Me and my boys way up right now, and it's time we made a difference. Set this blood in the water. I hope you built for swimming. We turn 2 steps into 2 deaths. Do you know the difference? Listen.
It feels like a DJ trying to get their crowd hyped up, which, yeah, I'm excited for the game too, but it was strange to have a song remixed this far into development. I didn't understand why this was the case, and believe it or not, this is something we'll talk about later on in the early access version of the game. The bigger change that I noticed is related to gameplay, however. The 2 biggest changes to gameplay is the addition of the beat visualizer, straight from Hi-Fi Rush, and other games, and a change to the feel of combat. For lack of a better word, the game feels more cinematic. The moves and inputs feel heavier, they look better, and the game has a stricter flow to it. Going from the previous version of the demo to this one was an adjustment. At first, I wasn't enjoying the changes, and thought that the freedom of the previous demo was being squandered. But if anything, there's too much freedom now. My guess for the gameplay changes is that combat was adjusted to make each input more important and deliberate. As an example, the previous version of the demo allowed you to cancel some animations if you wanted to, but most had you locked in. There's also an invulnerability window to some of them, but it was easier for you to spam buttons and happen to get a good move in there somewhere. Now, if you dodge during a counter or a takedown, you cancel that move every time. At first I was confused why the people weren't dying, but once I realized why they were still alive, I came to a potential conclusion. My hunch is that the intention to make counters and takedowns so easy to cancel out of is to make sure inputs have the same dedication as hitting a note. You can't spam notes in Guitar Hero in preparation for an upcoming session, or else you'd break your combo. This seems to be a similar concept, where you need to match the rhythm in all of your movements, not just in attacks. This was also added to the bullet lunge, at least from what I can tell, and after learning that, both became easier and more consistent. This isn't a problem that most people will have, since they won't be trying the demo that I did, but I wanted to mention it because I believe this new version of the game is actually better. Oh, and snipers finally got the dodge warnings over their heads like the other enemies. Still hard, but it's good that they finally have that. The III Initiative update is a positive change to the game. At first I really wasn't enjoying the update's changes to movements, because despite their subtleties, they felt massive when actually playing. But after playing the game more and adjusting the controls more, this is the better feeling game of the two. The previous demo felt like, well, a demo, whereas this feels like the free snippet of the game that it's meant to be. If the previous demo was the game that got released, it would be incredibly fun, but it would feel indie. This demo, with all the changes to bring it to parity to AAA releases, makes it feel like the quality product that it actually is. And speaking of quality, let's finally get into the early access release of the game.
Not everyone can sell their soul. First, you gotta have something the devil wants.
Going into this version of the game, I tried to avoid as much as I could before actually playing it. Despite my enthusiasm, I wanted the surprise of learning this game for myself, and not wanting someone else to do it for me. Ironic, considering what we're doing now, but that's how I like to engage with my media. I want to be surprised, not disappointed. The only thing I knew was going to be in this game was the Baby No Money song. Apart from that, I didn't know anything else. I assumed that the Hemlock level would be finished, and I thought that there would be new arenas added to the Infinite Disco, but other than that, I wasn't sure what would be in the game. So when I finally launched it, I played through the tutorial, and the first thing I noticed were the 2 round moons lodged in Charlie's back pockets. That's when I realized that my data from the demo had transferred over, because the last time I had played the demo, I turned on BB mode for fun. While it was funny that this is how I found out, it was also a relief that I didn't have to add my custom songs back into the game. I don't think I could handle another 3-hour bender, if I'm being honest. Having your save data transfer over from the demo is a great relief, and I'm sure every person who played the demo appreciates that. For the most part, the tutorial is the same, apart from some additional story tidbits and a German talking skull. You know, the usual. Once you complete it, you are brought to the level select screen, and in addition to Hemlock and Infinite Disco, you now have access to 3 completely new levels. In addition, you now are able to visit the long fabled dive bar. Wait, what's it called now? The Encore? Oh. Okay. The Encore is a hub area that houses cosmetics for Charlie, decorations for the bar itself, as well as where you can upgrade your skill tree. Right now it's a little barren, there aren't many options to make your Charlie and bar distinct from others, but I suspect this will be expanded on in future updates. And even if it isn't, and this is what both of these stay like, I'm sure people will mod their own characters and decor. I mean, they already put their own characters in the demo, I can't imagine it's that much different on the back end. So while the Encore isn't a positive or negative for me right now, I would like to see it expanded. Well, that positive and negative thing isn't exactly true. There's a few things in this game relating to user experience that I think could use some refinement, and the first one I noticed is here. When I first stepped into the Encore, I looked around the area to see what was going on. I saw the currency in the corner of the screen and assumed that I would be able to decorate. In the main room is the bar counter and the dilapidated dive bar, and speaking to the barkeep, I was proven right, that the currency would be used for cosmetics. Exploring the area more, I found the backstage area, which while also having a place for cosmetics, also had a spot for the skill tree, which uses the same currency as the decorations. You start off with enough abilities and options that it's not necessary to buy things right off the bat, but I was a little irked at the fact that I could have bought an upgrade had I not bought the lava lamp that I didn't even notice after purchase. I think adding some brief screen at the beginning that just explains what fans can buy would be enough to circumvent this issue. It doesn't need to be a tutorial or spoil what's in the Encore, but simply saying fans are used to purchase decorations, cosmetics, and upgrade your skill tree would be enough, at least in my opinion. There's a couple other small things related to user experience that I'll bring up as we move through the game. None of these are detriments, I want to make it clear, but while we're here, I'd feel dishonest if I didn't bring these things up. Same goes for the menu in the Infinite Disco. I didn't mind it much during the demo, but navigating these menus are rather unintuitive. Don't get me wrong, navigating the menus on a controller was annoying, but it was at least functional. Here, with more buttons and menus and transitions, it's more annoying. Again, this isn't a deal breaker, I just think a wider pass of UX and UI would do wonders for the game, especially before the game goes to 1.0. But while we're here, Infinite Disco is just as good as it was in the demo. There's more songs, modifiers that work for every song, and a challenge mode. I genuinely have no notes about it, it's great as it is. If you liked Infinite Disco in the demo, this is just more of that. Whether it's a significant amount more, we'll talk about later. What is significant is the 4 levels of new content. Well, 3 1/4. Hemlock's level is all the same as it was in the demo, apart from the last quarter, which is the boss fight against Hemlock itself. And man, that fight was surreal. After playing the demo dozens of times through and ending the level right before the boss fight, I was very much anticipating finally being able to play it. And after that animation transition, the fight with Hemlock felt like pure hype, and he whooped my ass. I'm not saying that I'm a top 100 player or anything, but I did think that I was fairly decent at the game, and I continued to believe that until the Hemlock boss fight took me 3 hours to beat. And that's still with the caveat of needing extensive skill tree upgrades because it turns out I am trash. In my opinion, these 4 levels are the main content that someone would be purchasing the game for at this stage. This is the new content separate from the demo, and the additional story and character content is so intertwined with it that I'd argue it should be lumped in together with this as opposed to the Infinite Disco. I wasn't expecting to enjoy these songs or these fights, but I fell hook, line, and sinker for each of them. To give context, despite how much I've played Beat Saber and Guitar Hero, there are still some songs that I don't play just because I'm not a real fan of the songs themselves. They can be super fun to play, but the music? Nah, I need my sad boy playing on the dinghy to the sea fort type beats. Not this. But so far, there hasn't been a song that I don't like in this discography. And for the story songs specifically, these are the ones that I actively enjoy. Based on the sentence I just said, you probably wouldn't expect Rhythm Divine or Echo Locators to be on my playlist, but I am bumping them as if I didn't just hear them. That's in large part due to the story levels themselves and how phenomenal they are to play and look at. Hemlock's fight is as erratic as he is, and the transition through the subway station into his fight is one of the slickest progressions I've ever had in a game. Aurora's fight from a normal arena to fighting against a black hole into her paradise world, then down into the depths of hell until you fight a literal goddess, is ridiculously inspired. Prophet's fight is a literal diss track against you, and it's so powerful that the words attack you at almost every stage of the fight. And Dex rains down lightning and tears a hole through the literal fabric of the universe in an attempt to kill you. And it wasn't until I was listening to the soundtrack away from the game that I realized the coolest and most obvious thing about these levels. I'm playing a goddamn music video. Dead as Disco manages to capture the dual enjoyment of playing the game and watching the visuals that Guitar Hero 3 had. There's so much packed into these levels that the experience of watching and playing are so distinct. That aspect of these games make them especially great for this era of streaming and playthroughs, and one that can be enjoyed by both parties independently. If you watch someone play Doom, you know full well you're not getting the most out of that experience. But Dead as Disco? Watching and playing are almost separate activities. I was so happy to be proven wrong about this game. I was fully preparing myself to be disappointed or let down by something with this game, but no, this game even manages to take gripes from the demo and turn them into positives. Remember how I talked about the re-recordings of the songs, particularly Mission? Yeah, that version of the song works way better for this fight than the previous version. The hype music makes more sense if the music is literally attacking you both lyrically and physically. And even when you beat a boss, that's not the end of their story. After you beat them, they show up in the Encore, and you get access to a mini questline wherein you fill in the 10-year gaps of Disco's death and resurrection. I'm not coming down with full judgment on the story, because it's clearly not finished, but I am interested to learn more about them, the setting, and Harmony, the music terrorists. Even though it's not done, I want to acknowledge that during the quest you might need to grab something from a particular story level, and as long as you have that item before you exit out, you don't need to complete the level in order to get that item. As long as you have it, the game counts it towards the quest. Thank God. There are a lot of things I love about this game right now. My purchase has already recuperated its costs, especially with the reduced price method. That all said, it's not perfect. As much as I want to gush about all the things that could make this game great, I want to acknowledge the fact that this is still early access. This is not the end product, and in fact, might not be anywhere close to what the 1.0 version of this game looks like if it comes out at all. So, as a consumer advisor, which is my goal with this video, let's talk some issues. There are a few bugs that I have experienced in the game. Mine have been fairly small, and it didn't impede my gameplay at all, but they are there. This includes a few sound-related issues, such as the intro dialogue not playing the first time I logged in. Upon playing the intro again for footage, it did play the audio. There was a bug I saw with ghosted moshers who were reset to their idle pose after they died. Again, this was only visual, and it didn't impede gameplay, but it did look kinda funky. One gameplay related bug I've experienced a few times is a little lunge that happens at random points. It usually knocks me away from enemies, which I can see being frustrating if you have a big combo. There are a couple other things related to user experience that are more oversights than what I brought up previously. In your move list, your drumstick toss and lunge are now unlockable abilities that require a boss to be defeated before being able to use both. However, these display as being available to you even if you don't have the ability. I thought I was breaking something when I was trying to lunge, and didn't know what was going on until I saw the skill once I defeated that boss. I don't necessarily mind not having the skill at the start, but I do wish the menus properly conveyed that. Now, as long as you're not a sociopath, you'll probably notice that these issues are relatively minor. And while I agree, we also have to remember that for BrainJar Games, this is the first project, first purchase, first impression. So far, they have put on an impressive display, one that displays confidence and competence within the team, and one that I would argue benefits the consumer more than any other game out there right now. While the early access version is available for purchase now, the demo is still available to you at no charge. And in case you don't remember, that's the Infinite Disco, custom songs, and 3/4 of the Hemlock level. And unless I'm wrong, that demo should be available until the 1.0 release, though I don't think there's going to be any more updates to it. On top of that, the game is discounted right now. As more content is added, they will raise the price, allowing those mega fans to get the game now for an extremely low price. So as the consumer, you are given the freedom to ask yourself if the early access version is a worthwhile purchase for you at this time. And as your personal consumer advisor, this is what I would ask if you're debating on getting the game or not. Does 4 boss fights, 3 new story levels, challenge mode, songs, cosmetics, and some light story justify a $20 or $25 purchase? Some people might argue that that's reductive, that the team is going to add more and flesh things out and make the game so much better. And to that I say, you don't know that. Yes, that's what I expect them to do, and that's what they say they're going to do, but until that content is in your hands and you are playing it, there is no guarantee that that is ever happening. If that's how you need to cope with making this purchase, then that's your choice, and I won't tell you otherwise. But as your personal advisor, I'd like you to view the game as it is now as the final game. Because right now, that's all you got. I love to daydream about what games could be, or what my ideal version of a game is. But that's not what I purchase a game on. I purchase games based on what I currently see. For me, I've absolutely gotten my money's worth, but that might not be a common sentiment. Sure, the game has already sold over 100,000 copies, but I do wonder how many of those are sold on the promised disco, not the current one. Thankfully, BrainJar Games are still courteous enough to allow you to play the demo, so if you're not ready to drop the money on this game, you don't have to yet. Infinite Disco is still available, the first 3/4 of Hemlock are yours to play, and it's as fun as it is in the early access version. But if you play that demo and find yourself hankering for more of that structured cinematic content, then it might be in your best interest to pick the game up now. So as much as I want to continue gushing about all the lovely things in this version of the game, or the fact that BrainJar Games are already updating it a week after release, that's where I'm going to leave this video. I love this version of the game. I think that what's here is phenomenal, and I am so glad that I was wrong to doubt this team. As for the future of this game, I am excited to see what could be, but I expect nothing more. I'm perfectly fine with the current game, so if anything additional comes out, it will be cherries on top of cherries. But if this is the last time we see each other on this project, I won't be upset with my purchase. Disco might be dead, but I've never felt more alive. Don't you fucking dare future me. I swear to God if you put that